You ever feel eyes on you, but when you turn around, no one's there? It's not paranoia. It's not your imagination. You're not just being watched, you're being studied. Spiritually, not for who you are right now, but for who you are becoming. You're not just a person, you're a frequency, a signal, and they can't stop tuning in. Because the light in you, it exposes them. And that's why they're quiet, but they're watching, always watching. There's something most people will never experience, and that's being spiritually watched. Not because you're loud, not because you're seeking attention, but because your presence disrupts darkness. You're chosen. And that means you've been marked by something higher, not for a comfortable life, but for a purpose far greater than what the average person can grasp. You're being watched by forces that don't speak, but feel. Energies that move through. People, spirits that recognize what's on your life. Before you even understand it yourself, you walk into a room and the atmosphere shifts. People glance, go silent, shift uncomfortably. You haven't said a word, but they already feel your energy speaking. Because when you carry divine light, you don't need to announce yourself. The room already knows. The spiritual realm already sensed your arrival. Most people blend in. You don't. You weren't born to. Even when you tried to hide, you still stood out. You tried to shrink to make others comfortable, but your light kept shining through. And that's because it's not yours to hide. It's been placed on you, in you, through you, and it won't dim just to make others feel safe. What you carry is spiritual authority. You don't command attention, your essence does. And the moment people cross paths with you, something in them responds. It might be admiration, curiosity, jealousy, or even aggression, but the root of all of it is spiritual recognition. They're not reacting to your clothes, your words, or your lifestyle. They're reacting to your frequency. You carry a vibration that exposes what's hidden, and some people, they don't like being seen. Have you ever noticed how strangers glare at you like they've known you forever, but you've never met them a day in your life? Or how some people just don't like you, but can't explain why? That's because their spirit clocked you long before their mind could. You don't just walk around unnoticed. You move like a signal in the invisible world. And when darkness senses light, it responds with resistance. You were marked before you even knew what chosen meant. As a child, you felt different, more aware, more sensitive to energy, emotions, environments. You saw through people even when they smiled. You felt what wasn't being said. You experienced rejection not because something was wrong with you, but because something right was on you. People couldn't define it, but they could sense it, and it made them uncomfortable. That discomfort, that's your power. It means you disturb what needs to be confronted. You awaken what others try to keep asleep. You bring light into spaces where people have grown used to shadows. And so, they watch you, they study you. Some try to imitate you, others try to discredit you, but none of them can ignore you. There are people assigned to observe your every step. They don't clap when you win. They don't encourage when you grow. They just watch. Not from curiosity, but from a spiritual alertness. Because deep down, they sense your breakthrough will break chains, and they don't want that freedom spreading. But here's the thing, they can watch all they want. They still can't stop what's already written. You're not just a person. You're a threat to every stronghold that thought it could remain hidden. Your life carries truth. Your energy carries healing. Your words carry power. And that's why you've been targeted. Because the enemy never fights what isn't a danger to his plans. So don't mistake the tension for trouble. It's confirmation. You're on divine assignment. Some of the people closest to you are there just to observe. They're not friends. They're monitors. They report back spiritually, sometimes unconsciously. That's why you feel drained around them. That's why your spirit feels heavy after certain conversations. Because being watched spiritually isn't just about stares. It's about surveillance on a soul level. But here's the key. Their watching does not delay your elevation. It exposes their own limitations. You weren't built to please. You were built to shift atmospheres. You weren't created to be understood. You were born to be impactful. And your very existence makes waves in both the natural and spiritual realm. You carry a mantle that others pretend to have. You walk with a peace that disturbs those who live in chaos. You embody purpose in a world full of distraction. They copy your style but hate your spirit. They mimic your moves but don't have your anointing. Because what's on you didn't come from the culture. It came from the Creator. You didn't learn this. It was placed on you. So when they try to become you without carrying your cross, they collapse. Because being chosen is not glamorous. It's warfare. It's rejection. It's long nights, spiritual attacks, loneliness, misunderstandings. But it's also divine favor, supernatural protection, and a power that nothing in this world can shut down. You weren't overlooked. You were hidden. You weren't left behind. You were being preserved. And now, they're watching, spiritually, silently, carefully, because something in their soul knows. Your next move is going to shift something in the heavens. And they want to see it coming, but they can't predict it, because the chosen don't move on impulse. They move by instruction. You feel it too, don't you? That stirring in your spirit, that unshakable pull. You're not who you used to be, and that's why they don't know how to approach you anymore. They sense elevation, but they can't track the source. They know something's happening, but it's not visible yet. That's because spiritual growth doesn't come with announcement. It comes with alignment. So let them watch. Let them stare. Let them monitor. Because while they watch from the outside, the Most High is working on you from the inside. And no amount of silent surveillance can stop what God is about to do through you. They're watching, but they don't understand what they're watching. They're observing, but they don't truly see. Because what's happening in you isn't physical, it's spiritual. It's unseen, it's quiet, but it's real and it's powerful. You've entered a season of becoming, and the watchers feel it before you even speak on it. You don't talk much about what you're building, and that bothers them, because they're used to people broadcasting everything. They don't know how to monitor silence, so they start creating stories in their head, trying to guess what you're planning, spreading whispers in spiritual places, hoping to plant doubt in your path. But they'll never be able to stop what they can't touch. And they can't touch you, not without permission from the one who sent you. You are divinely guarded. Every step you take is measured. Every connection is sifted. You don't go where you're not assigned. You don't follow trends. You follow truth. That alone makes you untouchable in a world that bows to influence. And that's exactly why you've become a spiritual target. Because the more you walk in purpose, the more you disrupt systems that were built to keep people in spiritual sleep. Let's be honest, you feel when energy shifts. You walk into a place and instantly pick up on tension, envy, fear, darkness. Even when no one speaks, you feel what others can't admit. That's not sensitivity, that's spiritual discernment. You've been given eyes to see beyond the surface, ears to hear what's not being said. And that gift, it's sacred. It's also the reason why so many people, either want to be close to you or can't stand you. You're a spiritual mirror. People either run to your light or hide from it. There's rarely an in-between, because your energy doesn't allow Kari. You force truth into the room just by existing, and when you carry that kind of presence, you will always attract attention. Not always the good kind, but attention nonetheless. That's the cost of authenticity. That's the price of carrying what the world desperately needs but rarely understands. Have you ever noticed how the moment you start getting serious about your healing, your growth, your connection with the divine, attacks come out of nowhere? People from your past reappear. Doubt creeps in. You start second-guessing yourself. That's not coincidence. That's interference. Because as you rise, you awaken others. As you break free, you give silent permission for others to do the same. And that makes you dangerous to darkness. Some people watching you right now are hoping you'll fail. Not because you did anything to them, but because your existence challenges their excuses. You didn't argue, you didn't confront, you just elevated. And that alone made them uncomfortable. Because while they stayed stuck, you grew, you transformed, you became something they didn't expect, and something they secretly fear becoming themselves. But here's what they don't realize. You didn't ask for this. You were chosen for it. You didn't chase power. You embraced purpose. You didn't fight to be seen. You accepted being hidden. And now that you've been revealed, they can't stop watching. Because your glow is not ordinary. It's not man-made. It's not cosmetic. It's spiritual. It's divine. It's rooted in sacrifice, tears, late nights, and silent battles no one knows you fought. That glow, it cost you, but it also protected you. It drew people in, but it also repelled what wasn't aligned. That's the paradox of being chosen. You're magnetic and isolating at the same time. Everyone feels drawn to your spirit, but not everyone can handle your truth. They crave your energy but don't respect your boundaries. They admire your strength but resent your resilience. You've become a symbol of what they wish they could be: whole, bold, unapologetic. And instead of healing their wounds, they watch you in silence, hoping you'll somehow shrink. But you won't, because what's in you isn't just for you. It's for every soul tied to your obedience. Every life that will be changed because you refuse to dim your light to make others comfortable. And now that light is increasing, and so is the watching. You'll notice more eyes, more silence, more tension. Don't let it shake you. It's just confirmation. That elevation you feel, it's real. That shift you sense, it's happening. You're not imagining things, you're perceiving things. Spiritually, your senses are activated now. Your awareness is sharper. Your intuition is stronger. That's not anxiety, that's discernment. That's protection. You're seeing what others overlook. You're hearing what others ignore. You're sensing shifts before they manifest. That's not something to hide, it's something to honor, because your sensitivity is your strength. Your awareness is your weapon. And the more you trust it, the more powerful you become. Some of you are being watched by people who once underestimated you. They wrote you off, called you too quiet, too weird, too intense. But now they're watching in disbelief, because everything they dismissed you for became your strength. You didn't change to fit in. You grew into who you always were. And now they don't know how to categorize you. So they stay silent and they watch. Let them witness the rise they never saw coming. Let them observe the glory they tried to bury. Let them question how you're glowing despite what You've been through because your life is the evidence that grace is real, that healing is possible, that divine favor doesn't ask for permission. It moves when the time is right. And guess what? The time is now. You're no longer in hiding. Your process wasn't punishment, it was preparation. Your isolation wasn't rejection, it was refinement. And the watching, that's just part of the territory now. Because when you walk with power, you walk under observation, not just from people, but from spirits, from forces that know what's coming before it even arrives. Don't be surprised when you feel drained in public. Don't be alarmed when people stare and can't look away. Don't get discouraged when you feel like you're walking through spiritual resistance. That's what happens when you move like a storm in a place built on silence. That's what happens when you carry truth in a world built on lies. You're not just a light, you're a lighthouse. You guide others through storms. You don't just shine for yourself. You shine for the ones who forgot they had light too. You remind people of who they are, even when they've forgotten. And that mission, it requires eyes on you, even if they never clap, even if they never say a word, even if they pretend they're not watching. Trust me, they are. And deep down, some of them are hoping to catch just a spark, hoping your glow might ignite something buried in them. Because the truth is, even those who envy you are being healed just by watching you rise. They don't speak it, but they feel it. Watching you evolve is forcing them to question everything about their own path. Watching you walk with quiet power is unsettling everything shallow in their lives. You don't have to preach to shift things, you just have to show up as yourself, because who you are speaks louder than any words, and who you're becoming, that speaks volumes. In the spirit realm, you carry answers, not the kind found in textbooks or taught in schools, the kind written on your soul. You were born with insight, wisdom, and vision. That's why your steps are so heavily monitored. That's why your path has felt so lonely. Because when you carry solutions, you automatically disrupt systems that benefit from confusion. And when systems feel threatened, they send watchers. But these watchers, they're not in control. They don't hold the pen. They're not writing your story. They're just trying to keep up with it. Because your journey doesn't follow the rules of logic. You're not moving by calculation, you're moving by revelation. What you do doesn't make sense to them, and it never will, because they're looking with natural eyes at a supernatural blueprint, and that's why they'll keep watching in silence, trying to decode something they were never meant to understand. You don't owe them clarity. You don't owe them explanations. Your life is not a performance, it's a mission. And not everyone is supposed to have access to the full version of who you are. Protect your energy like it's sacred, because it is. You can't afford to let every curious eye get close. Just because they're watching doesn't mean they're worthy. Just because they admire doesn't mean they support. Some are watching to learn, some are watching to steal, some are watching to pray for you, and some, they're watching to prey on you, but none of them can stop what's already unfolding. Because the power over your life doesn't rest in who's watching, it rests in the one who sent you. You're not here by accident. Your gifts weren't random. Your timing isn't late. Everything about your life has been structured with divine precision. Even the delays were strategic. Even the detours were part of your design. You had to be hidden so the watchers couldn't destroy the seed before it sprouted. You had to be misunderstood so no one could define you too early. You had to walk alone so your identity could be built in private. And now you walk differently. Not with arrogance, with awareness. not with ego, with alignment. You know who you are now, and more importantly, you know who you're not. That's why the watchers are so confused. The version of you they thought they knew doesn't exist anymore. The quiet one became powerful. The doubter became unshakable. The wounded one became a healer. You rose without clout. You transformed without validation. You bloomed without permission. And they watched all of it. They watched you grieve in silence. They watched you rebuild with nothing. They watched you say no when it cost you everything. They watched you grow roots when you could have sought attention. And now that you're rising, they don't know what to do with it, because there's no scandal, no weakness they can exploit, no angle they can twist. Your strength is quiet. Your moves are intentional. You're unpredictable, and unpredictable people are dangerous to systems built on control. You don't just shine, you awaken. You don't just lead, you liberate. You don't just walk in the light, you reveal everything hiding in the shadows. That's why the spiritual realm watches so closely, because every step you take toward your purpose weakens the chains that once held generations in silence. You're not just healing for yourself, you're healing for your bloodline. You're breaking patterns no one else had the strength to face. You're restoring what others gave up on, and they're watching because your breakthrough feels different. It's not loud, but it's unstoppable. It's not flashy, but it's divine. It doesn't ask for applause, but it commands respect. Because this isn't about attention, it's about assignment. And when you walk in assignment, you naturally attract attention. But attention is not your fuel. Purpose is. And purpose doesn't require a crowd. It just requires obedience. Let the watchers do what they do. Let them speculate. Let them question. Let them talk amongst themselves, trying to figure out your formula. Because here's the truth. Your glow isn't a formula. It's a fire. And that fire was born in the dark, forged in pain, strengthened through tests they didn't see, refined by losses they'll never know. Your presence carries weight now. It demands space, whether people like it or not. It disrupts passivity. It irritates complacency. You don't even have to speak. Your walk convicts them, and that's why they can't look away. Because something in you reminds them of what they were meant to become. And maybe that's part of your purpose. To not just to succeed, but to wake people up. To remind the sleeping of their own light. To show the broken what's possible through healing. To be proof that chosen ones don't fold. They rise. You've been watched your whole life because your destiny has always been loud in the spirit. You couldn't blend in even when you tried. You couldn't fit in even when you forced it. That's because your soul was never meant for average. It was built for greatness. Quiet greatness. Sacred greatness. The kind that doesn't scream. It echoes, so don't shrink. Don't second-guess yourself. Don't water yourself down for the comfort of those who choose to spectate rather than elevate. Your presence is permission. Your healing is a lighthouse. Your journey is a message. Not everyone will get it, but the ones meant to receive it will never forget it. You are not alone in this. Heaven backs you. Purpose fuels you. Vision anchors you. You were built for this level of observation. You were designed to carry light through the darkest rooms. And no matter how many eyes are on you, no matter how many spirits try to study you, no matter how many people pretend not to see you, you were chosen long before they started watching. So walk like it, move like it, speak like it, pray like it, glow like it, because you're not just being watched, you're being witnessed, and the next chapter of your life, It won't just be seen. It'll be felt spiritually, deeply, permanently.